And if you're hearing my voice right now, that means you're not here by accident. And before we dive into this message, go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment saying, I receive it. Because when you engage, you're literally signaling to heaven, I'm ready for what's next. And trust me, you don't want to miss the shift that God is aligning over your life right now. Because something big is shaking in the atmosphere, something divine, something that's been building quietly behind the scenes. And the crazy part is, you've probably felt it already. That weird restlessness in your spirit, that heaviness mixed with anticipation, like something is ending but something way bigger is beginning. And you can't explain it to people around you because most of them think you're just overthinking. But deep down, you know this isn't just a phase. Nah, this is God waking you up, shaking you, repositioning you, because chosen ones don't get to stay asleep when a shift is coming. And maybe lately you've noticed random doors closing out of nowhere, people acting strange, opportunities drying up, or maybe you've been feeling distant from things you used to enjoy. And at first you thought something was wrong with you, but in reality, God has been detoxing your environment, pulling you away from distractions, breaking soul ties, ending cycles, and clearing the path so you can hear Him clearly. And yes, I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's lonely sometimes. I know it feels like you're walking through a foggy season, but let me tell you something straight up. Pressure is the proof that purpose is pulling you forward. And when God is about to elevate you, He disconnects you from everything that can't go with you. And that disconnection can feel like rejection, but it's really protection. And sometimes God will even let you feel misunderstood or isolated because He needs your attention. He needs your ears tuned to His frequency. He needs your heart to stop chasing old seasons because you can't step into the new while clinging to the familiar. And I'm telling you this with all the energy and conviction I've got. You're not losing your mind. You're not falling apart. You're shifting into alignment. And that's why the spiritual pressure has been so intense lately, because heaven is trying to get you positioned before the breakthrough hits. And I know someone right now is thinking, why does it feel like God is silent right when I need Him the most? But listen, the teacher is quiet during the test. And you're not in a season of abandonment, you're in a season of strengthening, a season where God is teaching you how to hear His whisper above the noise. And bro, sis, let me tell you, when God whispers, it's more powerful than any storm. And maybe you've been praying for direction, begging for clarity, asking God to show you the next step, but He hasn't dropped the whole blueprint yet, because if He revealed the full plan right now, you'd run ahead of Him, or you'd doubt yourself, or you'd try to carry people who aren't meant to be part of the promise. And God is saying, slow down, breathe, trust me. I'm building something you're not ready to see yet. And just like a house under construction, there are parts that look messy, chaotic, unfinished, but behind the scenes, the architect already knows exactly how the final blueprint looks. And God is your architect, your builder, your foundation. And He's saying, don't get discouraged by what looks incomplete. It's not finished, but it's forming. And I promise you, that stirring you've been feeling isn't anxiety, it's activation, because God is awakening the gifts He placed inside you before you were even born. And some of those gifts have been dormant for years, buried under fear, doubt, trauma, heartbreak, disappointment. But now those gifts are waking up, stretching, coming alive, because the shift that's coming requires every part of you, not the broken version, not the insecure version, not the watered down version, but the healed, bold, powerful, spiritually awakened version of you. And that's why God has been pruning you, stripping away anything that weakens you, because chosen ones aren't called to move like everyone else. We move with purpose. We move with sensitivity to the Spirit. We move with divine timing. And if you've been feeling uncomfortable, restless, emotional, drained, or even randomly energized and inspired at weird times, that's spiritual transition. That's elevation knocking. That's God saying, get up, you're shifting. And listen, God doesn't bring disturbance without purpose. He doesn't shake what He doesn't plan to rebuild stronger. He doesn't remove without replacing. And you're stepping into a season where what was confusing is going to start making sense, where what was hurting is going to start healing, and where what was delayed is going to start accelerating. And trust me when I say this, the reason it's been so hard lately is because you're leveling up, and the enemy fights hardest when the breakthrough is the closest. And I know some days you wake up tired, spiritually drained, wondering why the battles won't stop.
But chosen ones don't fight small battles. We fight big battles because we're called to big assignments. And let me tell you something straight up. You weren't built to break. You were built to rise. You were built with resilience in your bones. You were built with purpose in your soul. And the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still standing, even after everything that tried to destroy you, is the loudest proof that you carry a divine calling. And God is saying right now, prepare yourself. What's coming will make the warfare make sense. And if you receive that, go ahead and type amen in the comments, because your agreement activates your alignment. And you're stepping into a powerful, divine, supernatural shift that's going to change the entire trajectory of your life.
And listen, as this shift unfolds, God is not only rearranging what's around you, He's rearranging what's inside you. And some of you don't even realize it yet, but you've been undergoing a spiritual reboot, a full system reset, like your soul has been uninstalling old versions of yourself and upgrading into something sharper, wiser, stronger, and so much more spiritually aware. And you've probably been wondering why your tolerance has changed, why things that used to entertain you now feel empty, why certain conversations suddenly drain you, why you can't force yourself to hang around the same circles anymore, why gossip feels like poison now, why chaos feels louder than it ever did before. And it's because your spirit is leveling up, even when you didn't consciously ask for it. Because chosen ones don't choose the timing. God chooses it for them. And He hits the upgrade button exactly when it's needed, not when it's convenient. And right now, God is upgrading your discernment, fine-tuning your intuition, sharpening your spiritual senses, because you're about to step into a season where you'll have to recognize opportunities quickly, identify distractions instantly, and distinguish counterfeit connections from God-ordained ones without hesitation. And that's why He's been pulling you away from noise, drama, and surface-level relationships, because elevation requires isolation. And sometimes God hides you before He reveals you. And I know you've been feeling that weird sense like you're in a waiting room of destiny, not fully here, not fully there, just floating between chapters. But listen, that middle place is sacred, because it's where God shapes you, prepares you, strengthens you, and even though it feels uncomfortable, something is forming inside you that people around you can't see yet. And while they might think you're quiet, acting different, or distant, what they're not understanding is that you're in the middle of spiritual construction. And you can't explain that to everybody, so stop trying, because this season isn't about being understood, it's about being obedient. And when God says move, you move. When He says let go, you let go. When He says rest, you rest. And one of the wildest parts about being chosen is realizing that obedience often looks like craziness to the outside world, but clarity always comes after the step of faith, not before. And speaking of faith, let me drop this right now, because someone needs this word deep in their chest. God has seen every tear you cried in silence, every moment you held yourself together when everything inside you was falling apart, every fake smile you put on to make sure nobody worried about you, every night you laid awake wondering if your life was ever going to make sense, every prayer you whispered, half believing, half crying, and none of it was wasted. Because God doesn't waste pain. He repurposes it. He transforms it. He strengthens you through it. And the very thing that almost broke you is going to become the testimony that elevates you. But you won't see that until the shift fully lands. And let me tell you, this shift isn't just emotional or mental. This shift is spiritual, supernatural, life-altering. And you're going to know it's real because everything around you is going to start aligning faster than you can keep up with. Opportunities are going to appear out of nowhere. Connections will come that feel heaven-sent. Clarity will hit your mind like lightning, and doors that once felt bolted shut will swing open in ways you never imagined. And you'll know how real this is when your peace starts increasing, even when circumstances don't make sense, because God's peace is the indicator that you're walking in His will. And speaking of God's voice, let me remind you of something powerful. When God speaks, it doesn't always sound like thunder. Sometimes it sounds like a gentle nudge in your spirit, a random idea, a sudden conviction, or that deep inner urge that says, this is not for you. or move now, or wait just a little longer. And sometimes his voice comes through scripture, like this one right here that I need to speak over your life. Isaiah 43:19 says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." And when God says new thing, he means something unprecedented, something you've never seen before, something that doesn't fit your old mindset or your old environment. And when he says he'll make a way in the wilderness, that means even in the places where you feel lost, confused, or stuck, God is carving a path that leads straight to your breakthrough. And when he says rivers in the desert, that means he's about to bring life, restoration, opportunity, and blessings into the areas of your life that felt the driest, the deadest, the most hopeless. And someone listening right now, you've been in a desert season for way too long, feeling like you're pouring into others, but nobody pours into you, feeling like you're fighting battles nobody even sees, feeling like you've been crawling instead of walking, surviving instead of living. But hear me clearly, that desert is about to turn into a river, and you're about to see God revive things in your life you thought were permanently dead. And to help you see the power of this shift, let me tell you a quick story, because sometimes a story hits deeper than an explanation. There was a guy, mid-30s, regular dude, hardworking, quiet, minding his own business, but life kept hitting him non-stop. Lost his job, lost his relationship, lost friends, lost confidence, lost direction. And he told me he felt like he was walking through life with no map, no clarity, no hope. Just vibes and survival mode. And for months he kept praying, "God, why me? Why is everything falling apart?" And one day, out of nowhere, he heard this tiny whisper in his spirit, so subtle he almost brushed it off. But it said, "Because I'm rebuilding you." And he didn't understand it at the time, but little by little, God started closing every door that wasn't meant for him. The people who didn't value him drifted. The opportunities that weren't aligned disappeared. The jobs that weren't part of his calling fell through. And at first he thought everything was falling apart, but in reality, everything was falling into place. And 3 months later, he got a job offer that paid double his old salary, doing something he loved, connected to people who respected him, and the relationship he thought was the one ended up being the exact thing God needed to remove so he could meet someone who matched his heart and his purpose. And when he looked back, he told me, "Bro, I wasn't being punished. I was being positioned." And that hit me so hard because it's exactly how God works. He removes what you think you need to give you what you actually need. And some of you right now are in that exact same season, the tearing season, the pruning season, the uncomfortable transition that feels like loss, but is actually preparation. And if you could see what God is lining up for your future, you wouldn't stress for one more second, because what's waiting for you is bigger than what's leaving you. And when this shift fully hits, you're going to understand why God didn't let certain people come with you, why he didn't let certain plans work, why he didn't answer certain prayers the way you wanted. And when you see the blessing on the other side, you'll say, "God, thank you for not giving me what I thought I wanted, because he's about to give you something way better." And this isn't motivational talk. This is spiritual truth. You're stepping into a destiny season, a breakthrough season, a miracle season. And what's coming is going to blow your mind in ways you can't even imagine yet. And as we step deeper into this message, I need you to really lock in, because what I'm about to say is going to resonate in a part of your spirit you haven't touched in a long time, maybe ever. And the reason it's going to hit you so deeply is because God has been preparing your heart to receive this exact word at this exact moment. And when God aligns a message with a soul, that's destiny. That's divine timing, not coincidence. So let me speak this straight into your chest. You are entering a season where God is not just going to change your circumstances, he's going to change you. And this might sound wild, but some of you don't even realize how much you've already grown, because you've been so focused on the struggle that you forgot to notice the strength it built inside you. And yeah, I know it's been tough lately, mentally exhausting, emotionally draining, spiritually stretching, but pressure creates diamonds, fire refines gold, and storms build warriors. And you, chosen one, have been going through all three at the same time. And that's why it's been so intense, because God has been toughening you up for the level you're about to step into. And trust me, nobody steps into a new dimension of purpose without being prepared first. And sometimes preparation looks like pruning. Sometimes it looks like isolation.
Sometimes it looks like heartbreak. Sometimes it looks like everything you thought you needed walking away from you at the exact same time. But here's the twist. What you thought was abandonment was really alignment, because God wasn't letting people abandon you. He was removing access. And that's because your next chapter requires a cleaner, quieter, and more focused environment than you've ever had before. And yeah, I know that sounds wild, because sometimes the people who get removed are people you had deep history with, people you trusted, people you loved, people you poured into, people you expected to stay. But don't get it twisted. When God is elevating you, He will expose every hidden motive, every fake connection, every secret hater, every leaky bucket that drains your energy, and every person whose presence would sabotage your blessing if He allowed them to stay. And I know it stings, because we're human. We get attached. But chosen ones are called to higher places, and higher places require lighter baggage. So stop thinking you're losing people. You're losing weight, and that weight was slowing you down way more than you realized. And when God clears a room, it's because He's preparing a space for new things, new energy, new opportunities, new connections, new purpose. And trust me when I say this, God is not going to let you enter a blessing with the same mindset that survived a battle. So if you've been wondering why your desires are changing, why your priorities are shifting, why your dreams feel deeper now, why your spirit feels sensitive to things you used to ignore, it's because God is rewiring you internally before He rewards you externally. And this internal shift is the key to everything that's coming next. And let me tell you something that might surprise you. Elevation rarely feels like elevation at first. In fact, it almost always feels like breaking, because God breaks the version of you that can't sustain the next blessing. He breaks old thinking patterns, old habits, old fears, old wounds, old insecurities, old survival mode mentalities. And while you're going through it, it feels like everything is falling apart. But in reality, everything is falling in place. And chosen one, you're not even aware of how much spiritual weight you've been carrying and how strong you've become because of it. And to help you understand this, let me share another story. This one about a young woman I met years ago. And her journey still gives me chills, because it's literally a mirror of what so many of you are going through. She was talented, gifted, brilliant, one of those people who carried purpose in her presence, but she didn't know her own worth. And because she didn't know it, the people around her didn't value her either. And she spent years watering dead plants, trying to prove herself to people who never deserved access to her energy, holding on to relationships that drained her, jobs that undervalued her, and friendships that secretly resented her. And every time she tried to elevate, something pulled her back. Emotional trauma, self-doubt, fear of the unknown. And one day, everything hit at once. Lost her job, her relationship collapsed, her best friend betrayed her, her living situation fell apart, and she said she felt like she was drowning, like God had abandoned her, like life had snatched the ground out from under her feet. And she asked me something that broke my heart. Why does God keep taking everything from me? And I looked at her and said, maybe He's not taking things from you. Maybe He's taking things off you. And at first she didn't get it, but as time passed, she realized that everything she lost was either draining her, distracting her, or delaying her. And once those things were gone, she finally had space to hear God, to reconnect with her purpose, to tap into the gifts He put inside her. And within a year, listen to this, she not only started a business that surpassed her old salary, she met people who truly valued her. Her confidence came back stronger than ever, and one day she told me, I wasn't breaking, I was blooming. And bro, sis, that line stuck with me forever, because that's exactly how God works. He sometimes buries you so He can grow you. And from the outside, it looks like loss, but from the inside, it's transformation. And that transformation is happening in you right now, whether you recognize it or not. And the funny thing is, chosen ones often don't see their own growth because they're so close to the process. But let me remind you of something powerful. The fact that you're not reacting the way you used to react is growth. The fact that you're craving peace instead of chaos is growth. The fact that you're distancing yourself from negativity is growth. The fact that your spirit feels sensitive to things you used to ignore is growth. The fact that you're craving God more than you crave validation is growth. The fact that you're prioritizing healing instead of hiding is growth. And that growth didn't happen by accident. It happened because God has been molding you, shaping you, stretching you, and preparing you for a level you haven't even seen yet. And I promise you this, God is about to reveal why this season had to be so intense, why the battles had to be so heavy, why the losses had to be so sudden, why the silence had to be so loud. And the moment you step into your blessing, everything you went through is going to make sense in a way that leaves you speechless. And hear this loud, you are not stepping into a small shift. You are stepping into a massive shift, a radical elevation, a breakthrough that's going to hit so powerfully that you won't even remember the pain the same way. Because blessings have a way of healing wounds you thought were permanent. And peace has a way of erasing memories that once consumed you, and favor has a way of making up for years of struggle in a single season. And baby, your payback season is coming. The kind of season where God says, I saw everything they did. I heard everything they said. I know how they tried to block you. I know how close you were to giving up, but I'm about to restore you in ways that will shock even you. And if you feel this in your soul right now, if something in your spirit is buzzing, tingling, waking up, that's confirmation. That's the Holy Spirit nudging you, saying, this is for you. And trust me, when God confirms a word, He confirms it with a shift, not just a feeling. And that shift is unfolding even as you're listening to this message.
And now, as we step into this next part of the message, I want you to take a deep breath and really let this sink into your spirit, because what I'm about to speak is not just encouragement, it's revelation, it's alignment, it's transformation. And for somebody listening right now, this is the exact word you prayed for without even realizing you prayed for it. See, chosen one, when God gets ready to elevate you, He doesn't just prepare the blessing, He prepares you. And the preparation doesn't always look like what we expect, and sometimes it doesn't feel good, but it is always necessary, because God will never let a blessing land in the hands of someone who isn't ready to carry it, protect it, or grow it. And the funny thing is, most people think preparation means excitement, confirmation, and clear signs. But the truth is, divine preparation often feels like confusion, exhaustion, frustration, spiritual warfare, and pressure that comes out of nowhere because you're being pushed out of one season and into another, and transitions are loud, messy, and uncomfortable, but oh my goodness, they are powerful, because transitions are the spaces where God reshapes your identity, rebuilds your confidence, sharpens your purpose, and strengthens your spirit. And maybe you've been asking God, why does everything feel heavy? Why do I feel stuck? Why do I feel like I'm outgrowing everything around me? But what you don't realize is that heaviness is growth. That discomfort is elevation. That restlessness is God pulling you forward. And that tight, pressured feeling is the same feeling a seed feels right before it breaks open. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. And that's why your spirit has been sensing more, feeling more, noticing more, because when God shifts you into a higher level, He upgrades your awareness first, and awareness always comes before elevation. And I want to talk to the people who feel like they're behind, because I know some of you have been comparing yourself to people your age, your friends, your coworkers, people online, thinking you should be further, thinking you should have achieved more by now, thinking your life should look a certain way. But let me tell you something that'll free your mind instantly. Divine timing makes human timelines irrelevant. And baby, you are not behind. You are in process. And process produces strength. Process builds character. Process creates wisdom. Process adds spiritual authority. And what God is doing in you may take longer because you're being prepared for something bigger than the people you're comparing yourself to. And don't get it twisted. Some people got their blessings early because their blessings were small. Yours is taking longer because it's going to be massive, stable, life-changing, generational, and deeply rooted in purpose. And you can't microwave destiny. You can't rush foundation. You can't accelerate spiritual maturity. And trust me, you don't want anything before it's time, because blessings that arrive too early
become burdens, and God loves you too much to let that happen. And listen, chosen one, I need to talk to that version of you that's tired of the spiritual battles, tired of being strong, tired of being the one people rely on, tired of pretending you're okay when you're not, tired of pushing through, tired of believing for things that seem like they're taking forever. And let me speak this over your life with authority. God sees you. Every exhausted breath, every quiet tear, every silent prayer you whispered while trying to hold yourself together, He saw it all. And none of it was ignored or overlooked, because God doesn't just watch you struggle. He stores every moment of it as evidence for your breakthrough. And hear me clearly, God is not ignoring you. He is setting you up. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. You are not stuck. You are being stabilized. And maybe you don't see it yet, but God has been working behind the scenes, orchestrating connections, aligning opportunities, preparing resources, and setting the stage for your elevation. And when the right time comes, and trust me, that time is closer than you think, everything is going to shift so fast, it'll feel like you stepped into a new reality overnight. And let's talk about spiritual warfare for a second, because chosen ones don't go through normal battles. They get targeted because of the calling they carry, and the enemy attacks you hardest in the areas where you're meant to shine the most. That's why your mind has been under attack, because your perspective creates your reality. That's why your emotions have been unstable, because your heart is the wellspring of life. That's why your relationships have been shaken, because God needs your environment clean before elevation. That's why your confidence has been attacked, because you are powerful when you remember who you are. And that's why distractions have been coming out of nowhere, because the enemy can't stop your blessing, so he tries to stop your focus. But here's the truth the enemy hates. Every attack you've survived has built something in you that cannot be shaken. Resilience, maturity, discernment, strength, spiritual awareness. And the enemy fought you this hard because he knows what's coming for you, and he knows he can't stop it. And now he's scared. And you know what else the enemy doesn't waste resources? On someone who isn't a threat. The fact that you've been fought so intensely is proof that you carry power, purpose, and divine potential that terrifies hell. And that's exactly why God is saying, "Rise, chosen one. You have no idea who you're becoming." And to help you understand this, let me share one more story, one that still hits me every time I think about it. There was a man, mid-40s, quiet, humble, always helping everyone else, but never asking for anything in return. And for years, he felt invisible, overlooked, taken for granted. And he told me one day that shook me. "I don't think God has anything special for me anymore. I think I missed my moment." And when he said that, I felt this fire rise up inside me, because that's how the enemy wins, by convincing people their story is over while God is still writing chapters. A few months later, this man lost everything, his job, his savings, his home, and he ended up living out of his car for almost a year. And he said those were the darkest months of his life. But guess what? During that season, God stripped away every distraction, every false sense of security, every comfort he was relying on, and forced him to rely on God in a way he never had before. And slowly, God started rebuilding his life. One day he met a stranger who felt led to bless him. That connection turned into an opportunity. That opportunity turned into a position. That position turned into a leadership role, and within 2 years, the man who once thought his life was over became the highest paid employee in his company and bought a home bigger than anything he had before. And when I asked him how he felt about his journey, he said something I'll never forget. "God didn't restore me. He upgraded me. I just had to survive the process." And chosen one, that's exactly what's happening in your life. You're not being restored to who you used to be. You're being upgraded into who you were always meant to be. And let me tell you something with boldness and truth. The shift that's coming is not small, not subtle, not quiet. It's loud, it's obvious, it's undeniable. It's one of those seasons where even the people who doubted you, overlooked you, underestimated you, ignored you, even they will have to admit that God's hand is on your life, because the blessing is going to be that visible, that radical, that supernatural. And don't be surprised when people try to come back once the blessings start flowing. That's why God removed them in the first place, because He didn't want them benefiting from a harvest they never helped you plant. And if you've been feeling misunderstood, isolated, rejected, it's because you're being set apart, not pushed aside. Set apart for purpose, set apart for protection, set apart for preparation, set apart for elevation. And when God sets you apart, it's because He's about to present you.
And listen, chosen one, sometimes the hardest part of your calling is the silence. That pause where it feels like the whole world stopped moving except you. You start wondering, God, did I miss something? Did I hear you wrong? Did I mess up? Am I behind? Am I late? Am I forgotten? But let me tell you something real. You are not forgotten. Your name has been spoken in rooms you haven't even walked into yet. Heaven has been preparing a setup so big, so wild, so beyond your imagination that the silence wasn't a punishment. It was insulation. God wasn't ignoring you. He was protecting you. You ever notice people get weird when they sense you're leveling up? They start acting shady, insecure, suspicious, not because you changed, but because your anointing started showing. And God will never let the wrong people have backstage access to your breakthrough. You may have lost people, friends, relationships, jobs, opportunities, comfort, stability, security. But baby, that was the pruning before the blooming. God never prunes what He's not planning to grow. You think He removed those people because you aren't enough? Nah. He removed them because you were too much. Too much destiny, too much purpose, too much fire, too much calling, too much spiritual capacity for small-minded energy. When God elevates you, He also separates you. The problem is, we mistake separation for abandonment, when really it's divine filtration. Not everyone is equipped to handle the weight of where you're going. Let me drop some truth here that somebody desperately needs right now. Your delay was divine training. You weren't stuck. You were being sharpened. You weren't lost. You were being aimed. You weren't behind. You were being prepared. God was not late. He was aligning everything so that when the blessing hits, you're not overwhelmed by it. You're ready for it. Think about it. A skyscraper takes way longer to build than a garden shed. Why? Deeper foundation, stronger materials, higher capacity. God didn't build you for something small. That's why your process has been painful, long, stretching, uncomfortable, unpredictable, because God was constructing something massive in you. And listen, chosen one, this next part is important. You're about to be the first in your family to break certain patterns. You're about to be the first to rise to certain heights. You're about to be the first to carry this level of wisdom, strength, discernment, maturity, spiritual clarity. That's why the battle felt unfair. You're not just fighting for you. You're breaking generational ceilings that nobody before you had the strength to shatter. But you do. And heaven knows it. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew 5:14? You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. That wasn't a suggestion. That wasn't a compliment. That was an identity statement. God Himself stamped you with visibility, authority, influence, and divine purpose. That's why life tried so hard to dim you. That's why people tried to silence you. That's why your past tried to bury you. Because the moment you realize who you really are, it's game over for every lie ever spoken against you. And no matter how dark things get, no matter how chaotic or uncertain your surroundings feel, light always wins. Darkness cannot overpower what God placed inside you. You were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out, to shine, to lead, to inspire, to break chains, to carry hope, to shake atmospheres, to walk into a room and shift the whole spiritual temperature without even trying. That's who you are. And deep down, you know it. Now imagine this. You wake up one morning and everything finally clicks. You realize the storm wasn't sent to destroy you. It was sent to reveal you. You realize every setback was setting the stage. You realize every heartbreak taught you discernment. You realize every loss cleared space for a blessing that fits where you're going, not where you've been. You realize every delay made you wiser, sharper, stronger, more spiritually dangerous. And suddenly,
you don't feel weak anymore. You feel powerful. You feel aligned. You feel awakened. You feel like you're stepping into a version of yourself that you barely recognize in the best possible way. Like you're finally seeing yourself the way heaven has always seen you. And here's the wild part. You're not waiting for your breakthrough. Your breakthrough has been waiting for you. Waiting for you to mature, waiting for you to outgrow old patterns, waiting for you to close old chapters, waiting for you to rise into the version of yourself powerful enough to handle what's coming. And chosen one, what's coming is gonna blow your mind. I'm talking opportunities that feel unreal. Open doors that make you emotional, connections that feel heaven-sent, favor that doesn't make sense, peace that feels supernatural, clarity that hits you instantly, strength that surprises even you, and a sense of purpose so strong that nothing from your past can hold you anymore. You're stepping into a new season, not limping, not crawling, not broken, not confused, but rising. Rising with fire, rising with purpose, rising with confidence, rising with spiritual awareness, rising with the kind of authority that makes demons nervous and heaven proud. And when this shift hits, and it's coming fast, you're going to look back and say, God, I finally get it. It was all worth it. Keep going, chosen one. Heaven is backing you. Your story is not over. Your best chapter has not even started yet. And nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop what God is about to release in your life. This is your moment. This is your shift. This is your confirmation. This is your rise.
And let me tell you something else, chosen one. You don't even realize how close you are. Like, for real, if you could see what heaven sees right now, you'd stop stressing, stop doubting, stop replaying old stuff in your mind, stop talking yourself down, stop assuming God forgot your address. You'd actually be shocked at how lined up everything already is. You'd be like, dang, that blessing was this close the whole time and I was over here panicking, because God doesn't show you the process. He shows you the promise. The process is always hidden because if you saw all the steps, you might get overwhelmed. But just because you can't see the progress doesn't mean there isn't any. Faith grows underground before it shows above the soil. Roots grow before fruit shows. Foundations set before buildings rise. And you've been praying for things that take roots. You've been praying for doors that require structure. You've been asking for elevation that requires internal maturity. Don't confuse unseen growth with no growth. God's been working behind the scenes in ways you're about to see with your own eyes. And look, I know sometimes you feel like you're doing everything right and still fighting battle after battle. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, relationally, and you're wondering, why does it feel like I get attacked the hardest when I'm trying the most? And the answer is simple. The enemy doesn't waste time attacking people who aren't a threat. The fact that your spirit gets hit so often is proof that you are carrying something powerful. You think the enemy wants someone who's spiritually asleep? No, he wants the person who's about to wake up the whole room, and that's you. That's why the pressure felt insane. That's why the distractions came out of nowhere. That's why old triggers popped up. That's why people misunderstood you. That's why situations drained you, because the enemy tried everything to make you quit before you hit breakthrough. But guess what? You didn't quit. You may have cried, doubted, questioned, stumbled, struggled, but you did not quit. And that alone proves you're chosen. Anyone can be blessed, but not everyone survives the preparation for the blessing. Let me drop something deep on you, something real that might even make you emotional. Your resilience is not normal. The things you came out of, most people would have folded. The things you survived, people would have lost their mind. The storms you walked through, some folks wouldn't have made it to the other side. You've experienced heartbreak that should have broken you, but instead, it built you. You faced seasons of loneliness that should have crushed you, but instead, they sharpened your discernment. You fought battles that should have destroyed your confidence, but instead, they forced your identity to solidify. Your strength didn't come from comfort, it came from survival. You didn't grow in the light.
You grew in the dark. You didn't rise because it was easy. You rose because something inside you refused to stay down. That's the mark of someone God has handpicked. You don't fold under pressure, you transform under pressure. And let me tell you a story because I want you to feel this. I knew this guy once who went through a season where everything fell apart at once. His job ended, his relationship fell apart, friends disappeared, money got tight, his car broke, health issues popped up, everything hit him like a tidal wave. And he kept saying, why me? Why is this happening to me of all people? I'm trying to do right, I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to fix my life. Why now? And months later, he said something that changed the way I see life. He said, I didn't realize it then, but God wasn't punishing me. He was emptying my life of everything that was too small for my purpose, everything that couldn't go with me, everything that wasn't built for where he was taking me. What he thought was the worst season of his life turned out to be the season that saved his life. Because once everything unnecessary fell away, God could finally build something authentic, powerful, and stable. And that's your story too. God wasn't tearing your life apart. He was clearing the space. You didn't lose things because you weren't worthy. You lost things because you outgrew them. You didn't lose people because you were unlovable. You lost people because your spirit started evolving and theirs stayed the same. You didn't lose opportunities because you were unqualified. You lost opportunities because they were beneath your assignment. When God says no, He's not rejecting you, He's redirecting you. When God removes something, He's not punishing you, He's positioning you. When God closes a door, He's not blocking you, He's protecting you from walking into a room that would have suffocated your purpose. And every time God said not yet wasn't denial, it was divine timing. You didn't miss your moment, you're walking into it. And listen carefully, because this is where it gets real prophetic. A massive shift is about to hit your life. Not a small change, not a tiny upgrade, a shift, the kind that realigns everything, the kind that brings sudden clarity, sudden opportunities, sudden connections, sudden favor, sudden peace. The kind of shift that makes you say, yo, this had to be God. This is too perfect, too aligned, too miraculous. You're stepping into a season where things that once felt heavy are going to feel light. Things that once confused you are going to make sense. Things that once scared you are going to empower you. And things that once delayed you are going to accelerate you. Everything is about to hit different. Your mindset, your confidence, your finances, your spiritual life, your relationships, your opportunities. You've been sowing seeds for years that are finally ready to burst through the soil. Heaven has been watching every tear, every prayer, every sacrifice, every lonely night, every moment you pushed through when nobody was cheering for you. And trust me, God is about to honor it all. This shift coming, it's not just for your comfort, it's for your calling. You're not stepping into a season of maybe. You're stepping into a season of this is it. Divine alignment, divine timing, divine acceleration, divine protection, divine clarity, divine confidence, divine provision. And once this shift hits, people are going to look at your life and say, how did you glow up like that? And you'll smile and say, God did it. Stay ready, stay expectant, stay aligned. The shift is already in motion. And baby, it's coming straight toward you.
And chosen one, let me tell you something that might shake you a little, in a good way. You haven't even met all the versions of yourself that God is about to introduce you to. The you that's coming? Oh, that version is powerful. That version is wise. That version is bold. That version is unshakable. That version doesn't wonder if they're chosen. They know they're chosen, called, equipped, and anointed. That version of you walks differently, talks differently, moves differently. They don't chase validation. They command respect by simply showing up. They don't beg for love. They attract it effortlessly. They don't shrink to make others comfortable. They stand tall because God built them for visibility. You're stepping into a season where you're going to surprise yourself. People who doubted you are about to be real confused. People who walked away from you are about to feel that sting of regret. People who underestimated you are about to realize they miscalculated your destiny. And none of that is for revenge. It's for revelation. God is about to reveal who you really are. And listen carefully, because this part is straight from the Spirit. You're entering a supernatural season of clarity. The fog is lifting. The confusion is leaving. The overthinking is breaking. The spiritual heaviness is falling off. You're going to wake up one morning and feel lighter, mentally, emotionally, spiritually,
without even knowing why. Old wounds will stop stinging. Old failures will stop haunting you. Old memories will stop draining you. You will walk with that quiet confidence of someone who knows heaven is backing them. You'll start noticing that your gut, that intuition, is sharper. Your discernment will go through the roof. Things that used to trick you won't trick you anymore. People who used to drain you won't even reach you anymore. Triggers that used to shake you won't even scratch you. God is upgrading your spiritual software, giving you wisdom that hits instantly, insight that feels supernatural, calmness that doesn't even make sense. People around you will be like, "What happened to you?" And you'll say, "God happened." And let's talk about timing, because someone watching this is discouraged, thinking they're behind in life. But hear me loud and clear. You are not behind. You are perfectly aligned. God didn't bring you this far to abandon you at the final stretch. You're not late. You're being launched. You're not delayed. You're being prepared. Every blessing that has your name on it is still yours. Nothing can steal what God secured. Nothing can block what God ordered. Nothing can stop what heaven scheduled. Some people get blessed early but don't have the character to keep it. But you went through the fires that forged your capacity. You went through the storms that matured you. You went through the lessons that strengthened you. That's why your blessing is going to last, because it took time, pain, pressure, tears, growth, and faith to build the version of you who can handle it. God is the master of divine timing, and when he moves fast. One day of God's favor can replace 10 years of struggle. One yes from heaven can rewrite your entire story. One shift can reposition your entire future. You aren't waiting for breakthrough. Breakthrough is waiting for its cue from God. And baby, that cue is coming soon. Let me paint this picture for you, because I want you to feel this. Imagine the version of you a year from now, the healed you, the confident you, the abundant you, the wise you, the spiritually awake you, the emotionally grounded you, the financially stable you, the bold, focused, unshakable, elevated you. Imagine how that person walks into a room. Imagine how they speak. Imagine how they show up. Imagine how they love, how they think, how they move. That version of you isn't fantasy. It's prophetic. That's who God is shaping you into right now. The pressure you're feeling, it's birthing that version. The discomfort you're facing, it's molding that version. The things falling off, they're clearing space for that version. The shift you feel coming is aligning you with that version. And when that new version emerges, you won't even respond to life the same way. You'll move from survival mode to destiny mode, from fear to faith, from stress to strategy, from insecurity to identity, from confusion to clarity. You'll look back at this version of you right now and say, "Wow, I didn't even know I had that much strength inside me." And hear me on this. God is sending people into your life that match your future, not your past. People who pour into you, not drain you. People who see your worth without you having to prove it. People who speak life into you. People who align with your spirit. People who don't get intimidated by your growth. People who inspire you without competing with you. People who understand your calling without questioning it. People who help you level up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. God is removing the wrong people not to leave you empty, but to make room for the right ones. You're entering a season of divine relationships, friendships that heal, partnerships that build, connections that elevate. No more trauma bonds, no more one-sided energy, no more carrying people who refuse to grow, no more circles that stunt your purpose. God is surrounding you with people who feel like sunlight, not storms. And listen, you're not stepping into a small blessing, you're stepping into a big one, a bold one, a supernatural one, a blessing that carries weight, a blessing that makes you emotional because you remember what it took to get here, a blessing that makes you say, "God, you really heard me," a blessing that makes you fall to your knees because you finally see why nothing else worked, a blessing that fits you, not the old you, but the elevated you, the healed you, the chosen you. You're almost there. Stay faithful, stay expectant, stay in alignment. The shift is closer than you think.